Hello, today we are going to install Kubuntu 23.10, so the next version of the Kubuntu operating system, in a QEMU virtual machine. So this is the Wikipedia page of Kubuntu. It provides an ISO installer, which is similar to the Ubuntu one, but instead of the desktop environment GNOME, it uses KDE Plasma. The current release is version 23.04 from April this year. The next version is going to be 23.10 from October this year. Okay. For that, we're searching on internet Kubuntu 23.10. It sends us to the daily build of the Kubuntu ISO installer. And we should download the largest file in here, the one with the extension ISO, so mantic-desktop-amd64.iso, 4 GB. I've already started the download and we'll be back once the download finishes. Okay, so we have finished downloading the ISO. Let's now create the virtual machine. File, new virtual machine, local install media, browse, mantic-desktop-amd64.iso, choose volume. Did not detect the operating system, so let's specify a similar operating system to what's on the ISO. We have Ubuntu 23.10, sounds okay. Forward. Let's make this a big virtual machine. 10 GB, 15 vCPUs. Let's make this 300 GB and name it like this. We'll need to customize it before actually starting the install. Finish. So BIOS instead of UEFI, the best motherboard chipset, 15 vCPUs on just one CPU, but with 15 cores. The hard disk is the fastest one, which is of type virt-IO. The network interface card is the fastest type possible, which is virt-IO, and tablet for mouse. Okay, that's it. Begin installation. Okay, so try or install and then OEM install. I've pressed enter to go with the first option, which is probably a live CD that allows us to also install the operating system. So we can both evaluate the operating system and install it. Let's resize. So it's just the installer. I don't see the live CD environment in here. And the installer does not have a button to close. For the live CD, we need to try Kubuntu. So let's go with install Kubuntu. English US. Don't download updates. The other option for this radio button used to be a trimmed down installation with the Office software LibreOffice uninstalled, among other things. Okay, so let's go with normal installation. Guided, use the entire disk. Kubuntu uses 1 byte. I'm not sure what this thing means. not sure if this will work. Let's go. If you continue, the changes listed below will be written to the disk. So the before and after graphics do not work. But the rest of the steps seem to work okay in the wizard. So it says that it's going to create a partition table. It's going to create partition number 2 of type ESP, which is fat. And then partition number 3 of type ext4// does not say if GPT or MBR partition type table. Let's go with New York. Username administrator. The same name as the virtual machine. And now we're going to wait for the installer to finish. So this is the part where the file system is taken from the ISO and written to the hard disk without actually installing the packages. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so it finished putting the file system that's on the ISO on the recently formatted virtual machine hard disk. And now it says it's retrieving files, setting up repositories. So that smells like doing an update, upgrade, configuring hardware. Installing the grub bootloader. Removing installer deb packages. I'll be back in a second. Okay, so now it requires that I restart the virtual machine, which is going to remove the ISO from the virtual machine's DVD drive. I'm just going to press enter because the virtualization software knows that it should do that thing. So now the CD-ROM is empty. This is the first time that the virtual machine has started. Let's log in. Let's see if we can connect to this virtual machine using the SSH server. So that's SSH administrator at the IP address says connection refuse. Okay, so we must connect to the Kubuntu virtual machine using virt-manager, the virtualization software, in order to install an SSH server. Become super user. Okay, so it has installed the SSH server, open SSH. It has marked it to start automatically when the system starts, or when needed using the socket. So if port 22 is somebody's trying to connect to the port 22 of this operating system from the exterior. Okay, so let's see if we can connect now. We can. First time we connect to the virtual machine using SSH. Okay, let's try to use the virtualization software as little as possible to connect to the virtual machine. So the first things that we want to do here is become super user and install enough software that I can survive at the command line. So that's update. Let's go do an okay, so the ISO is from today. Still, there are packages that can be upgraded. 18 deb packages can be upgraded because they have older versions in the ISO file. Okay, it recommends that I reboot the operating system. Okay, next up, so install some software that I use at the command line. Apt install, what was that? Period minus essential git emacs minus nox and mc, the midnight commander dual pane file manager for the console. Emacs nox for a command line text editor. Okay, and from here on, what does it say? Postfix. So postfix is needed by Emacs nox. Should be chosen to leave the current configuration unchanged. Let's go local only. System name correct. So let's now set up the virtual machine such that we can connect using the remote desktop protocol. So let's go to my wiki page, how to install xrdp, the RDP server. So Kubuntu should be easy, just one line. Once it finishes, paste. So it installs the packages xorg, xrdp, and xrdp. Makes them start when the computer restarts. And now we need a client application such that we can connect from the host machine from the hardware machine to the virtual machine. That would be xrdp because I'm on X11, not on Wayland. And the command line would be this one, but without any sound because I do not need sound. Or let's go with sound. Okay, a new tab. So this console tab runs on the host machine. I need to use the correct IP address, which is .70. Let's see if we have dynamic resolution, and we have. So we've requested that this window, the window of the RDP client, FreeRDP, should start with the width 1920 and height 1080. But since the resolution of my screen is 1080p and there is space needed for the KD plasma desk, plasma panel, and for the title bar of the FreeRDP window, because we specify dynamic resolution, this FreeRDP window has computed the size starting from here, ending in here of the rectangle, and sent this resolution to the virtual machine to be used. Okay. And we need to remember that before connecting, we'll need to log out of X11. So let's do that. Inside the virtual machine, we forgot to log out. And now the log out confirmation is shown on the wrong X server. That's why it's really important to do what this node says on the RDP server. So inside of the virtual machine, log out before connecting using the RDP server. So from now on, we should hopefully not need the virtualization software's graphical console anymore. So this is graphical console spice. We can close the window. Okay, so let's try to connect again using xFreeRDP. So before we saw only a black screen in here. Now we are seeing the correct plasma desktop, loading, mouse, and then finally desktop. Okay, if we resize the window, the FreeRDP window tells Kubuntu that's running inside the virtual machine to resize, which it does. Okay, so that's resizing the window of the FreeRDP RDP client, changes the resolution of the RDP server. Copy paste of text works. Let's prove that. So we need Kate. Copy paste of text works. YouTube playback works. And the speed is really good. For instance, when you open a context menu, everything is really, really snappy. Okay, now that we have a working RDP connection, remote desktop protocol connection, let's see what I additionally do when I set up a virtual machine. So I do all of these settings, which is a lot. So this would be it. If you're just interested into how to install Kubuntu 2304 and connect to it using the RDP server. Everything seems really similar to the previous two Kubuntu versions, 23.04 and 22.10. Some games are installed because I could not select the minimal installation type. LibreOffice, Thunderbird Mail. Other than that, it's pretty light. Great, so let's now do my terraforming, the changes that I usually do to my virtual machines and other Linux operating systems. So first of all, I need to survive in the graphical user interface. For that, I need some software installed. Or I could install the software from the SSH connection. So that would be git GUIs, two of them, git -GUI and git k, a twin pane file manager, an orthodox file manager. For me, that's Krusader. What else? Meld, AD viewer. Firefox is already installed, so that's about it. Okay. Settings. I make the mouse larger, cursors. I just change the size to the next one, 36. Okay, next settings. The edge. That's this one. No action. And this should be 15%. Okay. What else? Fonts. So give me the best possible fonts, Windows style fonts, not macOS style fonts. So hinting full. Okay. The panel on the left hand side of the screen, which is in here, drag to move. And then I immediately close the editor interface. I remove the icons that I do not use. I do not use Dolphin. Okay, in favorites, I do the same thing. Looks okay. Let's start. Where are you? I'm confusing the hardware machine with the virtual machine. First run wizard of Krusader. Looks okay. Layout compact. View, make this smallest. 12. Okay. Tab position top. The viewer will keep the same, but then the editor, we want Kate in here. And the rest of the things remain unchanged. Okay. Let's hide the Chrome that I do not need. No function keys, no status, no toolbars. And the embedded terminal. Okay, that's about it. What else is on my list? So in console, I did Krusader. I put the KD Plasma panel on the left hand side. Let's pin Krusader here in the panel. Okay, I did mouse. I did 15%. Firefox, Kate, and console. So let's do these. Firefox. Make it show the title bar. Never show bookmarks. Remove unneeded things. Okay, settings. Tabs. Okay, and downloads. And that's it. Then console. So the tabs are at the top. What I really set in here is I want to be able to click on full file paths and open those with Kate. So there's just one built-in profile, which cannot be edited, and that setting is per profile. I also want Control Tab on middle click, close tab on middle click, that's the thing. New profile, profile 1 is a great name. And that setting is underline files. Let's see what that is. And make this one default. Okay, console. The wrong size for the window, Ctrl-Shift-V. And now if I go Control, I press the Control key, this thing becomes a link. And it opens correctly in Kate, which is really important because, for instance, if I have a ton of errors shown, for instance, compiler errors, some of the errors or the warnings contain a full path to a file, and I want to control click to such that Kate, the text editor, opens directly on that file with that file open. Okay, then I do not want the welcome screen, so that's settings, Kate, welcome. What else I doing here? The auto things. I do not want auto brackets. I do not want auto completion. And that's about it. Let's open Kate. There's no welcome screen, great. there's no toolbars visible in console by default, which is great. There's no toolbars. Okay, so with that, I have installed Kubuntu 23.10, which is the next version of Kubuntu, in a virtual machine. Everything worked out correct. Seems to be stable. The only thing that did not really work was the fact that I could not select inside of the installer a minimal type of installation, just a normal type of installation. And then I've installed OpenSSH the SSH server. For that, I need to connect to the virtual machine using virt-manager. But once the SSH server did work, I could close virt-manager and I could connect using the SSH client, where I installed additional software, such as the software that I need in order to be able to do my things at the command line, which is emacs noex git build essentials mc. Then I've installed the RDP server, so xrdp xorg xrdp. From then on, I could connect using just the RDP client, which is this one with this command line, x3rdp user administrator with 1920 height 1080. The machine is with .70 /video /rfx /network LAN. So this means best speed. This means the newest improvements to the protocol RDP. Dynamic resolution means that if I resize the x3rdp window, that will tell the operating system to resize, which it does. And then I say take the sound from the virtual machine and play it on this machine using Pulse Audio. I do not have Pulse Audio installed. I have the next thing, but that still provides a Pulse API. And that's it. Thank you very much.